Antonio Brown to the Seahawks. We're back on this one somehow. And there's a lot I want to get into on this because I'm not sure if this is really what's going on. So to recap, right? Go take it back to last year. Reports are Russell Wilson wants to get Antonio Brown on the team, and Seattle has interest, and the Ravens have interest, and he sits around unsigned for weeks, and then Tom Brady gets to bring back Antonio Brown. Now we're in this offseason, and allegedly the Seahawks and Ravens have interest again, and also, of course, Tom Brady wants to bring back Antonio Brown because the Bucs want to roll it back because, well, duh, they won the title, right? The sourcing on this one is interesting. So John Clayton has said that Russell Wilson wants Antonio Brown. Now remember, Clayton lost credibility when he said Josh Gordon had re-signed, he had not, and that Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to retire, and Fitz did not retire. So that's a bit iffy there. There was also a report from Pro Football Focus. One of their writers said, apparently, the Seahawks and Ravens have interest. But to me, that reads like he read somewhere else there was interest, not I am saying there's interest. So I actually don't know how real this buzz is. I think there's something to it, but I'm unconvinced it's like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. Now, Brown on the field, emphasis on the on-field part there, it was good. 45 grabs, 483, 4 touchdowns, just simply double those numbers, and it's not quite prime Antonio Brown, but for a team with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronk and all those other playmakers, that's pretty good production. And you look at the Seahawks side of it, and if you get in the right headspace, Antonio Brown, a fairly big if, DK Metcalf, Lockett, and AB, ooh, I mean, that makes Russell Wilson happy. And Russell Wilson made it very clear he wants to be happy if he wants to stick around in Seattle. So I like that idea there in terms of the on-field stuff. Of course, there was a reason why Antonio Brown has not played that much football in the past 2 years because, well, he's kind of a crazy person and not in a good way at all. And that's a bit of a red flag. And do you trust Antonio Brown, the person? I don't know if you actually do. So there were the 3 teams that have been kind of sort of linked, the Bucs, Ravens, and of course the Seahawks. The on-field side of it for Seattle, super appealing. You bring in AB with Metcalf and Lockett, that's awesome. But do you trust him? Like, I don't know if that's really the path that Seattle should pursue. On-field, yes. Off-field, I give it a hard pause there. So I don't know about that perspective. And I don't know if John Clayton is that trustworthy anymore. Just throwing that out there, right? So what do you guys want to do? We'll bring back one of our favorite questions of all time. Do you want to add Antonio Brown? If you do, type in AB in the chat. If you don't, type in FAB, one of the all-time favorite ways. Shout out to Mitchell Wrench for getting this one going there. Do you want to add Antonio Brown? AB for yes, or type in FAB for no. Let's go to Richard Sherman and Seattle. Could a reunion happen? General note, by the way, I am kind of very surprised that Sherman is still unsigned. I thought that Sherman would have landed with the team. I thought the Jets were going to bring him in. They still, of course, could, right? The longer Sherman goes without being signed, the better chance, even if it's still low, but a chance remains nonetheless, that I think he could have a reunion in Seattle. Sherman does not have that much left in the tank. That's why there's been less interest, because NFL teams are agents. They don't want the older players, right? And he's coming off an injury, too. But he can still help a team, especially for one that doesn't have that much at outside cornerback. This past year from Sherman, these stats coming to us from Pro Football Reference, 21 catches allowed, 29 targets. Like, that's not great. The yards are fine-ish, but 4 touchdowns. In reality, for Sherman, he was way, way better than, or in 2019, I should say. 62%, only 368 yards, 3 interceptions, 11 pass breakups. He was legitimately a number 1 corner. I don't know if he still is, and that is a significant red flag for me. But I look at what Seattle has in the secondary. And I go, okay, well, you can go with either Marquise Blair or Ugo Amadi at nickel. That's fine. Blair's probably the favorite there. I like DJ Reed. Fine with Akello Witherspoon. But do you trust either guy to be a full-time starter for you? Maybe one of them for sure. But if you bring in Sherman, you feel so much better about your secondary options at the cornerback position. You feel substantially improved at that point. So if I'm Seattle, if it comes at the right cost, always a big if, yes, I have interest in the 32-year-old Sherman. Do I want to throw all the money at him? No, because I can't. Because Seattle is yet to restructure some of the deals, namely Russell Wilson, Lockett amongst others, or extend other players there. So money is still tight from that perspective for Seattle. But if I could bring him in on a relatively cheap deal, if he had some fake years to help balance out the cap hit, heck yeah, I've got all the interest at that point. So for the Seahawks, yeah, I have it. Now, Bleacher Report, the source of this one, threw out some other teams too I want to mention. The Colts, okay, Jets and Raiders, two teams with a former Richard Sherman coach in charge of the defense, or head coach in the Jets case there, and the Saints as well, who always find a way to make money. I had thought the Jets were going to make a big-time move here. The Raiders, not so quietly, tampered with Richard Sherman on the PFF podcast, right? So I am surprised Sherman is still out there. From the Seahawks perspective, as a result, I'm going to explore this one. I think it could very much make some sense. So should Seattle bring back Richard Sherman? Get your votes in here for me in the live comments. Type in Y for yes, they absolutely should, or type in N for nah, they should not do it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Y for yes, N for no. Long expected, but also, once again, reportedly, right? The NFL is moving to a 17-game schedule for this upcoming season. This has been reported many a time, was mentioned again by Adam Schefter at NFL.com, so we're bringing it back up again. As has been the expectation, extra game gets added, no extra bye week, and just 3 preseason games. Not even 2 has been discussed. It's 3 down from the more typical 4. Now, there are some NFL players, mind you, who are not fans of this particular move, which I do think makes some sense. Alvin Kamara among the outspoken ones. But we knew this was coming. This was a very clear path that was being headed down. I use passive voice poorly. Once the NFL moved to make all this happen. This was going to be the case, and it was expected it was going to happen this year, especially as the new TV contract money gets to hit around the NFL. Now, as we've mentioned before, we do know the assumed matchups. It's cross-division AFC versus NFC. AFC expected to host in this upcoming 2020 season, and then it flips for 2022. So it's Washington at Buffalo, Giants at Miami, the Cowboys at the Patriots, Eagles at the Jets. Of course, it's matched up based on where they finished last season. So number 1 seed versus number 1, number 4 versus number 4, all that good stuff. Fun matchup, by the way, Seahawks at the Steelers. Ooh, that's an interesting, juicy matchup. Rams at the Ravens, Cardinals at Browns, Niners at Bengals. Who will start at quarterback? I guess we'll find out. The Saints at the Titans, the Bucks at the Colts, Brady versus Wentz, the Panthers at the Houston Texans, and the Falcons at the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is not the most appealing option ever. I think the best matchup of these new extra 17-game matchup, the Packers at the Chiefs. Man, that one should be a primetime game. That's awesome football. The Bears take on the Raiders, which I'm very intrigued by because it's the Khalil Mack revenge game. Vikings at the Chargers. The Detroit Lions, by the way, also taking on the Denver Broncos. So 2 not-so-great teams that could maybe have a different quarterback in 2021 and potentially even in 2022 if things get really weird. So what do you guys think about the assumed 17-game season? Do you like this? Is this a path that you think the NFL should be going down? First time in a long time they've added games to the schedule here. Get your votes in for me. Do you like the 17-game season? Type in Y for yes or type in N for no.